I don't know. I don't. Thank you.
The Iranian regime backs down in fear after carrying out a disastrous attack in Saudi Arabia. Iran once again pointed its missiles at an area that houses American forces and tried to sell the action as a show of strength. But the early morning of July 18, 2026 ended without any proven military result. A United States official reported that an Iranian ballistic missile was launched against an American base in Saudi territory. Shortly before, Saudi Arabia's civil defense had issued danger alerts for Al-Kharj and Yanbu. Later, the authorities announced that the risk had passed without disclosing any impact, casualties, or destruction. Al-Kharj is home to Prince Sultan Air Base, a key facility for aircraft surveillance, air defense, and support for United States operations in the region. The Iranian regime has tried to target the symbol of this partnership, but it remained trapped in its own silence and showed no change in the American offensive. So far, neither the Saudi Ministry of Defense nor the United States Central Command has released any public details about possible damage. That's where the attack becomes disastrous. Tehran has opened another front, brought the war into Saudi Arabia, and given Riyadh an even greater reason to strengthen its defense alongside the United States. Speak up, there's a fast train. The offensive took place after the seventh consecutive night of American attacks on Iranian military structures. The United States Central Command stated that it struck surveillance points, underground weapons depots, logistics infrastructure, and maritime capabilities. The more Tehran tries to spread the conflict, the more Gulf nations begin to treat the regime as a direct threat. The Saudi target has enormous military significance. Prince Sultan Air Base is located in Al-Kharj, south of Riyadh, and hosts American forces and aircraft used for surveillance, refueling, and regional defense. Attacking this facility means hitting both the United States presence and Saudi sovereignty at the same time. The problem for Iran is that the reported attack did not stop the American campaign. Saudi Arabia issued the alert, activated its protocols, and then reported that the danger had passed. With no confirmed wreckage inside the base, no aircraft destroyed, and no casualty report, the regime was left only with the threat. This was not the first Iranian attempt against the same facility. In March 2026, a missile and drone attack injured 12 American service members, 2 of them seriously, and damaged refueling aircraft at Prince Sultan Base. That episode proved that the facility was vulnerable and led the United States and Saudi Arabia to increase protection, aircraft dispersal, and readiness. Now, in trying to repeat the move, Thank you. It explains why any warning in Al-Kaz is treated with urgency and why the lack of a confirmed result weighs against Iranian propaganda. The regime issued the new threat because it is under increasing pressure in southern Iran. United States attacks hit bridges, routes, power facilities, port areas, and surveillance structures near Bandar Abbas, Chabahar, and the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran fears losing freedom of movement along the coast and the ability to monitor from Bandar Abbas, Chabahar, and the Strait of Hormuz, and control over routes used by the Revolutionary Guard. Instead of preventing the attacks at their source, the regime tries to make the nations hosting American forces pay the price. This choice turns neighbors into targets and increases Iran's isolation. This escalation fuels unrest in the Gulf and reduces the space for any regional government to treat Iran as a reliable partner. The pattern repeats itself. Tehran announces major destruction, issues harsh statements, and leaves gaps about what was actually hit. The United States continues attacking. The maritime blockade continues and American forces remain spread throughout the region. Public tracking data indicated 6 United States Air Force tanker planes over the Gulf region, operating in eastern Saudi Arabia. So far, there has been no official disclosure of all the objectives of these missions, but the combination reveals a structure to support fighter jets for longer periods, monitor launches, and coordinate a possible response. Tanker planes allow other aircraft to stay in the air without having to return to base immediately to refuel. It shows that Saudi Arabia is strengthening its surveillance and response capabilities precisely when the Iranian regime is trying to turn an uncertain launch into a show of force. To turn a launch with an uncertain outcome into a show of power. The move also exposes a risk that Tehran cannot ignore. Saudi Arabia has a mutual defense agreement with Pakistan, signed on September 17, 2025. The document establishes that an attack on one of the two nations will be considered an attack on both. The published wording speaks of broad cooperation involving all military means. The possibility of nuclear protection started being discussed because Pakistan possesses nuclear weapons. And its Minister of Defense declared after the signing that this capability could be made available to Saudi Arabia. Iran doesn't know how far Islamabad would be willing to go if repeated attacks put Saudi cities, bases, or facilities at extreme risk. The pact has already moved beyond the theoretical stage. Pakistan maintains troops and aircraft in Saudi Arabia and has come under increasing pressure after the Houthis resumed attacks against Saudi territory. Pakistani authorities have stated that any aggression against the kingdom will also be treated as aggression against Pakistan. Islamabad is still trying to preserve its diplomatic role and avoid direct involvement in the war, but has made it clear that it will support Riyadh if military assistance is requested within the terms of the alliance. The Houthi attacks on Abha airport had already broken years of relative calm on the Saudi border. The missiles were intercepted and there were no confirmed casualties, but the offensive showed how groups linked to Iran can try to pressure Riyadh without Tehran bearing the full cost of the escalation alone. Now, with reports of an Iranian missile launched against an American base inside Saudi Arabia, the line between indirect attacks and direct confrontation has become even thinner. Pakistan's involvement would completely change the scale of the crisis. Islamabad has one of the largest standing armies in the world, a capable air force and nuclear capability. This would put the Iranian regime up against an alliance formed by the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, as well as the other Gulf nations that are already strengthening their defenses. Tehran opened up this possibility by bringing its missiles into Saudi territory without achieving a military gain proportional to the risk created. The regime tried to scare Riyadh, but it provoked an immediate air response, brought Saudis and Americans even closer together, and made the Pakistani agreement central to the war. Pakistan reaffirmed its obligation to Riyadh. The Iranian regime retreated to issuing statements after creating a threat that could call another major army into the war. Thank you very much for watching this video until the end. Support our project and contribute financially using the Pix key shown on your screen. We are an independent channel focused on keeping you truthfully informed. Your contribution helps us keep going.